Going to update you on my progress of editing 107,000 words. Going to stop using filler words. I'm going to pay a little bit to you now.
The annoyance. Overall, I'd some DEET which I was currently carrying and applied to exposed skin, especially feet, and it only slightly reduced the annoyance. Overall, a decent kip. I was illuminating and excited being in Thailand due to the exchange rate. I couldn't believe the prices compared to NZ or Bedrock. It was so cheap, and the exchange rate favourable. I said to myself, "You're having a laugh, aren't you? And I can finally live like a king." If only I knew at the time. I would have boycotted the WHV and spent 1 year here instead. However, it would have been boring, and nothing to boast about when returning to Deadbeat UK. Would I have had the flavour of the Australian vibe if I never went there? William at BLR stated that he was fed up with foreign workers in his country. I replied and said the work isn't great, but at least we get to see the country along the way. And that's what makes a delightful story to tell decades later inside your nursing home.
Right, guys, just got one little spelling error there, but I'm going to give it a rest for a while. 107,000 words up and down has taken me all of January and to the 4th of February and best part of the December. Experience of the ordeal is, you can see the cup, dirty cups that have been washed. Not only cleaning or hoovering, been eating ready meals when possible. And living off my savings. Been sitting on the chair for too long. Stomach cramps sometimes. Feeling tired. And feeling diarrhea. It's been absolute horrendous getting through the emotions of I must get this manuscript completed as time is ticking. Then I get frustrated because there's no one to turn to in need of help. Tons of isolation. Sometimes you feel really high, then you feel really low, and then you feel like you've run out of energy. But I showed up, persisted, and put in the effort. So this is what I'm saying. Nothing's been cleaned. Washing the clothes has not been done properly. So you see what I've done here. I'm not going to show you everything. This is the one that I did about New Zealand. This is something what I've done. I had to convert all the sentences down. Take out the bits that are not repeated, filler words. But I've done it. I've got for a big emotional, what they call it, a big emotional breakthrough. I'm not going to give you tips of how you should do it. I'm going to tell you my own personal journey. It's a big weight off my back getting that manuscript completed. It's a huge manuscript, what I've done. I've got editor here, which I should show you, and I should explain it to you. I think I'm so into this now. So editor 83%. Most of the spelling is either foreign words or English spellings. The grammar is a bit weird. I'm not going to go over the conscious because there's only 1 or 2 sentences there. And the formalities with the apostrophe. that's one thing I've learned from doing this marathon. It's not caring too much about the spelling, though it's very tempting to click, 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 click. It does ruin your work long term. So I'm going to leave that for now. But, you know, it's perseverance to do a quality manuscript. And thank God they've got all that on the system now, like Microsoft Dictate and Copilot. Though it's not perfect, the app Copilot is another voice where you can, you know, talk to get over hurdles. Like I say, when you're alone in isolation and going against the Grail, you do need to have someone in the room. Music does it for a while, but Copilot wouldn't have been able to do it without that. It's kept my mind on track, being a motivator for me to say, do not give up. I've written some stuff about Russia here being a good country and some political stuff about international relations with other countries. At the end of the day, it's my own story. I'm just trying to get up there with the big boys, like Quentin Tarantino, John Harris the Backpacker, or, you know, Stanley Kubrick. I decided that you need lots of action in a story. I didn't have the best grades at school, but here I am. I've got 99 pages, is 17,956 words here. But, you know, it's a tough call. I'm waffling on because I'm flipping emotional. I've been for a walk. And when I went for a walk tonight, it was something else. Completely out of... I never felt that way. It's quite a challenge doing 7,000 words up and down. Not just done it the once. I printed this manuscript off. Several times I edited it before printing it off. And I read it forwards. Then I read it backwards. In fact, I had 4 of them, over 300,000 words, 4 books. And I methodically went through every sentence, reading it forwards. And then I went and read it all the way backwards. I thought, will I do it there? Nah. Then I got the old machine, then I put them in the folders. I thought, right, let's just go online. Type in all the edits on the sheets, which I've done, over 300,000 of them. I put all the edits in, but realised still need to do a lot of work. So I ploughed all my power and effort into this manuscript, and it's taken me over a month. No job, living off savings. But it was winter and I'm a gardener by trade, so I was able to do it in my own time. It's just the most boring thing in the world can be writing your manuscript. That's why you have to add lots. For me, I've added in lots of twists and turns, etc. I've made it as entertaining as I possibly could. So let's see if I can memorise this off heart. I'm going to go for another 20 minutes. Chapter 1, Misconceptions. That was when I thought that I'd done all the planning before going to Australia. I got all my sports certificates, fitness, and lorry license, but it never worked out. And then I talked about in chapter 2, which was my schooling, the Asperger's, of the difficulties I've had and things being unfair, the education system, etc. Then I did touching down in Sydney, having a really rude awakening of, walking into an establishment of backpackers thinking that I had creamed it before even starting. This resulted in me having to do manual labour work for most of the part. So I had a job in Sydney for a month, landscaping and etc. Really good assignment. One thing about me is I always managed to get the top assignments, but my journey was far from rosy. Then I went on to Madura, and and I've written that in a really gritty way. Orange Farm, March Flies, tyrannical bosses, exploitation, other backpackers not working in teamworks, working in a sawmill, having an altercation with one of the owners at the hostel over some $20. There was a bit of a chase. I'll let you read the nest. Then on to Melbourne, where I did charity work. I forgot to tell you that I injured my foot whilst in Melbourne, and I had that for about 3 months because I dropped a slab of concrete on my foot, so I had to endure that whilst I worked on the farm and Orange Farm and roofing. Then on to Melbourne to do charity work. That was, a pyramid scheme that was weird. I told you a bit of a story about that. Going to brothel, trying to sell the prostitutes' diaries, and that's just one of the highlights, etc. Then I went on to Tasmania. And I reported on the tree planting assignments, the characters on the farms, the gangs out there. Following on by, I did a lot of cycling around the island and described the beautiful sceneries. After spending about 8 weeks, I went to Adelaide, and I walked into a murder crime investigation at one of the hostels. There was a girl that had been placed in social services who shouldn't be there, and the owner was being questioned by the police. And I got another assignment there, and I got quite a lot of insights into different of the Israeli army and all that sort of stuff who I worked with. Then I went to on down the south coast, which is called the Hippie Trail. Well, it was rather, as I neurodivergent and they were neurotypical, things didn't go quite well. And I've got some adventures from a Mr. Belgium who kept saying that the world was completely beautiful at the Mitsubishi van, and I described all the landscapes, the kangaroos, the camping, the fishing, and doing everything along the trip. Altercation with a threat of being stranded by having a Muay Thai kick to my head. That's when I came into Muay Thai. Then on to Perth, which I was expecting to top up my funds, get work down the mines. However, that was a short-lived dream, and I didn't end up doing much at all. But in Perth, I started to reflect about life on home. I did the odd assignment down there. I kicked back, talked about getting a job about afternoons at children's activity after school instructor, but that kind of never worked through. And I met my parents' friends from Portsmouth who used to go to grammar school and lived a few doors from my mum's house. And I met them and got some home truths, and it turned out they were comparatively a different family to mine. They were all musicians. They had recorded their own music. So that was interesting. Then I went up the West Coast, running out of money as we all do, stopping off at Kalabari, Geraldton, Exmouth to do the diving. Lots of beauty at Monkey Mire, describing the scenes along the way, the types of people that I interacted. Then it was on to Broom's Last Resort. This is where I stayed at a mega backpackers, which was kind of wayward. We had homeless people, convicts, criminals, all living there. And it was a party hostel, and there were some interesting characters there. I won't divulge into that, you'll have to read that. Then it was the end of an era, which was then I had to come back to Perth, and then on to Sydney. I did a couple of courses there, then on to New Zealand, South Island. So I got all my money back, and I did that. And I did some sites like I went to Invercargill, Queenstown, Stewart Island, Milford Sound in the middle of winter, and feeling the not frostbite, but hypothermia and chilled and all that sort of stuff. Then I went to Thailand, which was a very, very dramatic story, which is all to do with... Got so much more in this book. I'm just tipping the iceberg here. So I went to Bangkok, I did Chiang Mai, got chased by prostitutes, crossed over to Laos, and it resurfaced there. And then it's back touching down at home soil, returning after years travelling, interacting with work colleagues, parents, explained all the dynamics, a near death that I nearly had in hospital. Just got back just in the nick of time. If it happened I was going to be in China, but last minute I decided to decline China for some reason. Talked about massage school and lots of twists and turns in that adventure. And yeah, so I think I've done it quite well, really. But what I'm saying is that it hasn't been easy writing this book. You see, I've had to use these pens, which are good. I've written about chess. Been quite cheerful in episodes. But hey, when I went to bed, I couldn't switch off. Head was so full of editing. Had that for over a month, and I think it's going to take at least a week for my head to return to normal again. Been such an emotional roller coaster. I've even added another chapter to this book, so I went back then to Thailand again, same bed. So hopefully you're going to get the next bit. Lots of twists and turns in my book. I know for a fact that I've got it all together now. I've gelled every piece of information. I've watched Hostel 1 and 2, 3, Reservoir Dogs. I do love the opening on Reservoir Dogs, and Alex Garland, The Beach, have inspired me to do that. I listened to the audio book on YouTube, and they got sound bites in there. Now, how cool is that, having sound bites in your story? I might read this book verbally to myself or on camera just to make sure that I can spot the mistakes. May choose a different location to do that, as sound echoes in the room. And God knows I don't want to. And God knows what there is to learn about the editing stage. I've not reached that yet. I might go to A1 Publishing, which is a place in Birmingham. They edit books. They've got 9 or 10 people go through and edit each chapter. I'm tempted to use them because they're the only one that were honest about my work 3 or 4 years ago, stating it was shit. So when people say that about my work, I think, hang on a minute, they did tell me the truth. The others didn't. Lots of vanity companies out there. You know, they're just after your money. So, in the meantime, I have to get some creativity. I've made some diagrams as well out of it all. And also, when I've been doing my lunch, I've been using the old egg timer just to make sure that nothing gets burnt on the cooker. It's very important to invest in egg timers when you've got food cooking, when you're trying to edit your manuscript. Get those from Amazon. Clothes are all washed. Carpet's full of dirt, dust everywhere. Started doing decorating, thinking I could do 2 jobs in one. Well, that didn't last, did it? And meanwhile, when I've not been doing it, I've been learning how to do the engineering ruler. This is pretty good for woodwork. So this is a big chunk off my chest, getting this manuscript finally done. I didn't think I could do it this year at all. I've got plenty of ideas and suggestions for book covers, which I should do at my leisure or not. But my God, it's hard work. Bed hasn't been made properly for over a month. Clothes all over the floor. Haircut's not been done. Grooming's not been done. But all my energy's washing up. Kitchen's disgustingly dirty. Been buying ready meals passively. But when you've got a big project to do on the go and you want to do it, that's what you got to do. I'm nowhere near finished doing this project. But what a hell of a story it would be if I ever do get there. I would have done something that most people wouldn't have done. Not their first attempt to write something that big. Like I say, I think 110,000 words is quite a decent length to read. I don't think it's too long. I think it's just a nice adventure story. Anything below 75,000, I sort of would question that. I think that 75,000 words isn't that long, really. And there's a lot of companies that are just, charge quite a lot of money for it. So on this note, I've done my best. I'm completely exhausted. My muscles are extremely tight. It's going to have to do lots and lots of exercises, yoga. Thank God I did my personal training qualification. I'll have to go and do all the exercises out of that. I know it's just saying it, but God, man. What a journey this has been on. What a bloody journey. I've had sores. I've been frustrated. I just feel like Inkley feeling that there were some days I can't even do the bloody editing. I'm just so flipping tired now. There's just so much to it. That's the thing about most people. They live this 9 to 5 work doing all the hours for a company. But the thing is, this is what I've done there is my time. I've used my time is my finite energy. I bought myself this time. I need to go and get some money now, but I've got a much clearer head now because at least one job of what I've done is out of the way. I'm rambling on about this because how often can you say in front of the camera, I've gone through 107,000 document. I don't expect to get many views on this. I'm not doing it for the views. I'm doing it for me. I put a video up a few days ago. It got 11 views. I thought, yeah, great. Then I went on it again. Only 2. YouTube knocked my flaming figures down. Couldn't believe it. Never had that before. The thing is, I'm not going to become a YouTuber or anything with to do with social media. It's just an algorithm at the end of the day. Do anything like that, just forget it. Wasting your time, aren't you? So, I'm a bit high at the moment, but I'm going to try and get some sleep now. So, on this note, got all these in chapters. Do your best, and I'll see you on the next one.